Okay, so we are almost done modeling here. There are just some tertiary details missing, and we'll address that just in a second. But I have to go over the things we have done so far a little bit. And as you can see, it can be really easy to create the designs like this using procedural workflow like booleans and bevel modifier and stuff like that. So basically, all we did the whole episode is to block out some basic shapes using basic mesh modeling tools and then refining them using Boolean modifiers, then applying bevel modifiers over them to make those refined beveled edges and to fix those normals so the shading looks great. And there were some issues with this along the way, and all of those were caused either by inconsistent normals or by badly overlapping geometry. So the geometry is very important in this workflow, and sometimes if you need precision results, you will need to think it through a little bit, how much edges you want to have on some places and stuff like that. So when you do that Boolean cut, you don't need to actually move and scale around that object in those small increments like we did all the time to fix those edges. But other than that, that's basically all it takes to produce a design like this. And now that we are finished with the basic composition and primary shapes and secondary details, we can add some little details that will refine this even further. And I want to start with panels. This will be nothing new in terms of using the techniques. I just thought it will be good to separate this as a finishing touch. So first of all, I will hold Z and toggle the overlays so we can see our wireframe. And now I want to create a panel right here in front of the circular opening. So let me shift right click here to place the cursor in the middle of the platform, and we can press Shift A and add a plane there. And I'm alright with the position of this edge, but I want to move this one, so tab in, press 2 for edge select this one here and press G, then I can move it approximately here. Okay, and now I will zoom in a little bit, press Ctrl R and separate this so we have 1/3 on the left approximately. And now I want to bevel this, so Ctrl B and bevel the new edge. Don't forget to reduce the number of bevels to 1 by using mouse wheel. And by holding Shift, we can do this in small increments and leave just a little space like this and confirm with the left mouse button. Now I will press X and delete faces. And now just to give this a little bit of variation, we can select this far edge, press G twice and slide it down just a tiny bit. And now we can just select all, press 1 for the vertex select, then we'll bevel those vertices. So Ctrl B, then V, or Ctrl Shift B, whatever you like better. And I want to create 3 segments on those corners, not too large, and confirm with the left mouse button. Now I will select all, press E, then extrude up, and we can move this down. So again, press A to select all, press G, then Z, and move this inside. So this will serve as our Boolean object. Now we can tab out, right click Shade is Smooth, because we have some beveled corners there. Shift click the platform and Ctrl/ to create those panels. And now, as always, we need to fix the stack and move every Boolean modifier over the bevel. So let's move this one here, and let's select the platform and move this one here. So now if we disable wireframe overlay, we can see we have some nice panels there. But there's one thing to note here, and that's if you now try to move the platform, so I will select the large platform and try to move this away, you can see this is no longer parented. And that's because if you do the Ctrl/ shortcut with the bool tool, it will basically apply the intersection Boolean on that first primary object to which all of those others are parented, and then it will create difference operation with the new linked duplicate. So right now this large platform is the new linked duplicate. You can see the difference right here. And if you select these panels, you will see that this is set to intersect, and basically this is the object. Here it's its origin point because we duplicated it from the room object before, and all of those other objects are parented to that. And this should be easy to fix If you now look in the outliner, you will see there's the platform object. That's the original one, which has all the children object. And then there's a platform object, which is that linked duplicate. So if we select that one and switch this to intersect and select the original one and switch to difference, we now basically just switched these modifiers, and now this large object is the one that has all of the others parented. So I think this is more convenient to switch it like this because it's easier to select the platform object, and probably it's more logical in the long run. If you ever come back to your project and want to move some things around, you will probably select the larger object. So I like to fix it like this. And now the one last thing is to select these new panels, shift click the large platform, Ctrl P and parent. Now I will continue making other panels here to give this some additional details. So I want one additional panel to this platform. So shift right click here where the bend is, and I will press shift A and add a plane. And now I will scale this on X. So tab in S and X to scale this down, something like this. We can additionally move this up a little bit so we better see the whole plane. And if we now look from the top by pressing 7, we can make it a little bit longer maybe. So S and Y and make it a little bit longer, just a tiny bit, because we are hitting the pillar here. And now I want to select this front edge, so press 2 for edge select, select this edge, and I will right click and subdivide. And I want to do this 2 times, so let me increase number of cuts here. And I do this sometimes when I want to just subdivide one edge and I don't mind creating n-gons here. So if you now go to the vertex select by pressing 1, you can see this is now n-gon if you try to move this. And I will now select these 2 vertices here, press G then Y, and move them down to create a slope. And again, I'm doing this just to create some visual interest. We can look from the top by pressing 7 on a numpad. So we refer to these angles that it's not that different of an angle. Okay, I really like this. And now we can press A and Ctrl B then V again to create those bevels with 3 segments. And now I'll press A to select all. Let me rotate this a little bit and extrude this up, but I need to do a larger extrude because we need to cover this slope as well. So let's press E and extrude this. And now let's press A to select all, G then Z and move this down so we cover the platform. Now we can tab out, right click, shade is smooth, and let's do that cut. So shift click the platform and Ctrl/ to create the panel. First of all, let's fix the stack so we see if the bevels are okay. I think everything went all right, but here again we need to fix that parenting, because now if you move the large object, again everything is parented to this small panel right here. So again, we can use the outliner to identify the platform object. We have this, the original one, so we can set this to difference and then select platform 002 and set this to intersect. So we successfully switched them, and now shift click the platform, Ctrl P and parent the object. So the platform is all right, but I think we forgot to parent these Boolean objects as well. So let me select these, shift click the platform and parent those as well. So now if we try to move the platform on the x-axis, everything works just fine. Okay, so that's the details for the platform. And I want to create one panel right here over the generator. So let me select the object. And first of all, I think I forgot to make this bevel a little bit larger. So let me go into the edit mode. And with this selected, if you don't have it selected, just go to the face select and select the top face. Press Ctrl B and bevel this with 2 segments to something like this. And that's just because I want this to be a little bit more smooth. So when we do lighting, there's some nice reflection there. And now we can go back to the edit mode, select this face, hold Shift S and snap cursor to select it. Now tab out and we'll add a cube. So Shift A, add a cube, and let's tab in and make this smaller to something like this. And now again, let's go to the edge select, Ctrl Alt click here to select these edges, and Ctrl B to bevel 3 segments similar to those panels on the platform. Now tab out, shade smooth, and we'll again use Ctrl/ to create a panel. For the generator as well. And when it comes to parenting here, we parent it all to this object right here. So none of these were important parents in this setup, so we don't need to fix that intersect and difference boolean. So the only thing left is selecting this boolean box, additionally selecting the ring and parenting it there, so we can move it when we need to. Now the one more panel I want to have here is on the floor. So if we rotate this a little bit, we can shift right click here in this empty space between the door and the generator, press Shift A and add the plane here. Let's go into the edit mode, scale this down a tiny bit, and now I will bevel those corners same as before. So this is the same thing as with the platform, and now we can select all, press E to extrude, select all and move it down. Now tab out, shade smooth, shift click the floor and Ctrl/. And here we'll probably need to fix that because we had everything parented to the floor. So let's find those objects in the outliner, and first of all let's fix the stack and switch the operator. Okay, and now everything works as it should, but now we need to parent this as well. And of course we need to parent this one and check whether it's working all right. So that's for the floor. And the last thing I want to do is to create some kind of panel here so we can add some light to this elevator door or something like that. So shift right click here, we can zoom in a little bit, and let's add a cube. So Shift A, add a cube. Let's go into the edit mode, scale this down to something like this, tab out for a while, and let's center it out here. And now we can go back to the edit mode, press S then Z and scale it up, and maybe move it on a Z as well. Now again in the edit mode, press 2 for edge select, Ctrl Alt click here and bevel those edges, but I want to do just one segment here. So again we have some angles there. Okay, and now we can tab out, shift click the door frame and press Ctrl/. And again we'll need to fix the stack and change the settings here. And one last thing, parent these two objects to the door. Okay, let's check it out. Everything works just fine. And now I want to add another one, and to center the cursor there, we can center to this boolean object. So select this boolean box and we can hold Shift S cursor to select it. Now tab out and we'll add another cube. So Shift A, add a cube, tab in and scale it down to something like this and scale it up on Z, maybe on X as well. Let's check it out from the front, and we can maybe scale this up a tiny bit. And I will now select these edges around the side face loop, so Ctrl Alt click here, and let's do the bevel. And I want to do 2 segments here and just the tiny ones like that. Right click, shade smooth, and now we'll do another difference and intersection operation, but just with these linked objects. So shift click this one and Ctrl/, and we can fix the stack. So here everything should work fine because it was already parented, and of course we will parent the boolean object too. So let me check it out. Everything works just fine. And again, this is a nice way how you can just move objects around and cut into the environment. So that's for the panels. Let me zoom out a little bit. And now if we disable overlays, you can see we added some interest to the scene. We have some additional details there. And if you feel like it, you can now go even further and try to look around the scene where you might add some detail or modify something more to your liking. And I will see you in the next chapter.